Mansa Musa is one of the most intriguing rulers of medieval West Africa. As king of the Mali Empire, a land known for its staggering amounts of gold, he was and is often seen as the embodiment of boundless wealth. In fact, he is often credited for being the supposed wealthiest man who ever lived. According to the stories, Musa was so wealthy that during his pilgrimage to Mecca, he spent his gold so lavishly it crashed the entire economy of Egypt. Musa is often used in post-colonial literature as a counter to the racist exaggeration of the backwards, poor, and primitive African. But as is often the case with these reactionary stories, it is itself a flagrant example of historical revisionism. While African history used to be the object of ridicule, it is now often unjustifiably romanticized. Paradoxically, this has actually led to an image of Musa that doesn't do justice to the complexity and intelligence of this medieval African leader. Let us start from the beginning. Mansa Musa was the 9th ruler of the Mali Empire, situated in what is now parts of Mauritania, Mali, Senegal, and Guinea. While the empire traded in slaves, salt, ivory, and several types of agricultural produce, it was most renowned for its gold. By the beginning of the 14th century, the gold of the Mali Empire accounted for about half of all the gold trade in the Old World. When Musa came to power, he was worried about his empire, not because of a lack of resources, but because of a lack of knowledge. The Mali Empire was a part of the larger Islamic world, and Musa realized that it was by no means as technologically or scientifically advanced as the other Islamic empires in northern Africa and the Middle East. Mansa Musa decided that the best strategy was to go on a campaign to improve his image in the wider world. He set out on an Islamic pilgrimage to Mecca with an enormous entourage of slaves, servants, camels, and most importantly, a vast amount of gold. His public relations campaign was a success, and he later managed to turn the city of Timbuktu into a scientific hotspot and an important center of higher learning. According to many current articles, Mansa Musa was not only rich, he was the richest man who ever lived. Historians, however, argue that it is extremely hard to calculate the wealth of historical figures, let alone compare the wealth of persons who sometimes lived millennia apart. So the claim that Mansa Musa was the richest person in medieval times, let alone the richest person who ever lived, is extremely hard to accurately verify. The second problem is the supposed fact that the enormous amounts of gold spent in Egypt by the ruler of Mali caused an economic crash. The only source of that claim comes from a text written by al-Umarī, a bureaucrat who was not present in Egypt at the time, and only wrote the claim over 20 years after the visit, based partly on interviews of local Egyptians. Other sources are often embellishments written hundreds of years after the fact. Moreover, according to modern historians who delved into the particulars of the Egyptian economy at that time, Mansa Musa did not crash the economy at all. A review of exchange rates provided from Mamluk Cairo reveals that the Mansa Musa episode was but one of many short-term fluctuations recorded for the first half of the 14th century. In other words, even if this episode can be causally linked to a dip in the contemporary gold price, this dip was not outside normal fluctuations. And last but not least, the extreme focus on the wealth of the Mali Empire, which was for a large part purely based on the luck of having easily accessible reserves of gold, devalues the actual virtues of Mansa Musa. He was one of the few leaders in medieval Africa who fully realized the importance of technological and academic development. Instead of deluding himself into thinking his civilization was just as advanced as the other great civilizations of his time, he accepted the fact that his empire was an intellectual backwater. Better yet, he made a successful attempt at improving the intellectual and technological level of his realm. And it is this mentality that is truly admirable. Thanks for watching.